Hey y'all, welcome to Girl Made Screen. My name's Norma, your host of whatever, and we're back. Bridgerton, season 3, part 2. Let's talk about it. First things first, I have to be honest. It was a little slow paced, a little boring for me these last 4 episodes. So we're gonna jump right in to episode 1. We have Polin and Penelope walking into the Bridgerton home to let everyone know they're engaged. Everyone is super happy and excited for them. Except Eloise, who's like, what the fuck? Like, girl, what you doing? You cannot be doing this. Does he know? Girl, a mess is what Eloise said. Then, of course, we have Lady Whistledown writing about the engagement. We have the Queen thinking that she's going to write about how Francesca didn't take Lord Samadani's lemonade and left with Kilmartin, or like after an interaction with Kilmartin. But all she says is like, they seem like a good match, and she writes more about the Bridgerton. So now we have the Queen getting a little suspiciosa, okay? And she irritated, because she's like, what the, she didn't say nothing. Anthony and Kate are returning home, and they're having a baby. We have Cressida, who failed to secure a partner, and so her dad is marrying her off to one of his friends who's super old. Yeah, she's talking to Louise, and she's like, oh, I have this money, I'll be able to do yada yada and this and that, but obviously she doesn't want to. She's trying to like talk herself up to it. Lady Featherington finds Penelope. She's like, this is how I find out. And Lady Whistledown, this is how I find out that you're engaged. And so Colin, when you had Lord Devlin, whoopty 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 woo, she's going off on her. She's like, who knows what you did to trick him into like marrying you? And Colin busted, and he's like, she ain't do nothing. I love her. How dare you soil my family name? You better watch who you talking to. You better watch what you're talking about. That's what Colin said, basically. Just like that. Just like that. And then he grabs Penelope's hand, and they're off. Off to have a sexual encounter, which BT dubs, right? At first, I was like, that was kind of short-lived. It was kind of lackluster for like her first time. But then I was thinking about it, and I was like, I guess it was more realistic. Because, you know, in most movies, like when it's like the girl's first time, it's like this super painful experience. And like, yes, for some people it's more painful than others. Like everyone's pain tolerance is different. But at least most people I know, including myself, it's like just in the beginning, right, of that encounter. It's not like an entire encounter was just like painful and miserable, right? It's just like at first, and we're doing too much. We're talking a little bit too much, so I'm gonna stop. But yeah, so it was realistic. I'm not gonna lie, I was cringing, but I also crack up because you ever like realize when you're watching scenes like that, you like take notice of your face, like your own face. Like I was at my friend's house watching, and I was just like, and then like I realized that that's what my face was doing, and I was like, girl, you over here drooling. I'm sorry. It just cracked me up, like how like you'll like realize your face in scenes like this in movies and shows. We also have Francesca and Kilmartin. They're now talking, so he's now courting her, is what we can surmise. We get this scene of Anthony and Kate in bed talking, and I just like, I really like how like, I don't know what the word is for, like taken care of he looks. Like I feel like any other scene you see of him that wasn't with her, it was always because he was being stressed out and overwhelmed about all his responsibilities for the family. Because, you know, he's the man of the house to friggin' 7 kids, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Yeah, 7 kids, 8 including himself, taking care of his mom. Like, you know, he's responsible for all his sisters being married off and their dowries and etc. And so seeing him with her, it's like this like aura of just peace. And like he can be vulnerable, and like he can be the one being taken care of. And I love to see, because you know how men, you know how it is, and I would imagine back then especially, men were men, right? Like it's like you don't feel emotions, you don't feel, you know, comfortable or like baby by your woman. Like that's just not something men do. And so it's just really cute to see like how much he lets her care for him, you know? It's just, it's a vibe. I love it. And back to the Queen, she has decided, here comes the reward. We all saw it in the trailer and all of that. Yeah, so she's now assigned a reward, £5,000 for anyone with information on Lady Whistledown, which is hilarious because people start bringing her information. There's like a girl who broke her leg trying to chase a delivery boy down for it. Comical. Lady Featherington defends Penelope. Her sisters are like capping on her, and she's like, you know, we need to stop this. That's your sister. We're family. We need to figure out how to do better. And the sisters are like, what? And I'm not gonna lie to you, this whole entire time, I was like, she's up to something. She is up to something with this. Penelope and Colin have an engagement party, which Violet ends up inviting Lady Danbury's brother to, unbeknownst to her. Lady Danbury feeling some type of way about her brother. Like, what's going on with her and her brother, guys? What was tea there? Also, Eloise has basically told Penelope she's got till 12. She's got till the end of this engagement party to tell Colin what's up. To tell Colin who Lady Whistledown is. Everyone is playing charades. And Eloise and Penelope are having this kind of like back and forth where they're each getting the answer right and just keep going or whatever. At this point, Cressida's overhearing people talking because she's at this party for some reason. And, you know, people are like, yeah, like Lady Whistledown, like she could do whatever she wants. Like when she comes out, you know, like no one's going to want to marry her, like stuff like that. And so she decides that she's going to say she's Lady Whistledown. So she says she's Lady Whistledown. She's like, yeah, you're right. Like I can do whatever I want. And that means I can't get married. Like no one's going to want to marry me. Like, I don't think she thought this plan all the way through, but here we are. Penelope proceeds to pass out. I'm pretty sure it was an anxiety attack, a panic attack situation, but obviously back then that would not have been referred as that and people wouldn't have known what the heck happened. But that's definitely what was happening to her. Moving into episode 6, we have the episode starting out with Colin giving her a ring finally. Cressida finds out that she's going to be going to her aunt's to live. Her dad is furious, as we know from the first set of episodes. He's a jerk. And yeah, no one wants to marry her, so he's like, you're going to live with your aunt. Like, I don't know what the fuck else to do with your ass. Like, bye. We have the Mondrits. There's got to be something bigger coming up of them because I don't fully understand like their role in this. So, okay, either there's something bigger for them or their role this season was literally just, oh, look, people of color are in positions of power. Because I like, what else would it be? Because like their story, it just kind of, there's so many other stories going on that it's like, did we really need, like, I love them. I'm not saying I don't like these people, but did we need this in here, right? Like it just seemed like a quota meet or something. Like I know that's so terrible to say, but it just didn't make sense because not a ton of people. It just didn't make sense because at least to me, it seemed like their story wasn't like a main storyline in any of the seasons, and so it was just kind of like people aren't invested in them enough to be like spending time on them when it didn't feel like there was enough time being spent on other couples and other characters like Kilmartin and Francesca, which I know I actually listened to somewhat like a YouTube video about the books. And so I know how her book goes. And so this kind of makes sense. But even still, it just was weird having like 3 or 4 scenes of the two of them and then they're married. I don't know. So I don't fully understand it. But basically, yeah, he ends up deciding to give up his club. I don't know if I mentioned in part 1 that like I did mention what happens. Like someone in her family dies. And so their son is like I forget what his position is. But he's in power. They got money now. And he's basically told, like, you can't run a club and be in a position of power. And then, yeah, people kind of leave his club and he decides to close the club. Not just because of that, but also, like, he was missing out on his kids and all of that. But, yeah, so that's kind of their story throughout this. They end up, like, hosting a ball later on. Kilmartin and Francesca end up announcing that they are to be married in this episode. Eloise ends up overhearing Colin talks to her. They end up talking to each other to, like, squash things and like, be okay. And she ends up realizing how much he loves Penn. So she goes to her and she's basically like, just don't tell him. Like, he's clearly in love with you. I don't want that ruined for him. Just don't tell him. And she asks her, or she tells her she should just stop being Lady Whistledown. Like, she should, you know, take the opportunity of, like, Cressida saying she's Lady Whistledown to just, like, let it go. Right now, Penelope has, like, anyone who knows about it telling her to stop writing or stop being it. So she winds up deciding, like, okay, she's just going to let it go. The seamstress is really the only person who's like, I forget what she's called, but I'm going to call her a designer because that's what she is. But the designer is, like, the only one who's like, yeah, no, you shouldn't give it up. But she's like, oh, like, you have that glow, like a bride does when we're picking out her dress. We get a cute boys' night scene at Mondric's club. It's, like, his last night open or whatever. And it's Colin, Benedict, I'm pretty sure, Kilmartin and Mondrich, and it was really cute. Like, they were all like expressing, you know, their feelings and their issues and all of that. So it was a fun little scene to include, especially because Kilmartin was there, like, getting drunk and shit with them. Like, what the heck? Eloise and Cressida basically end up fighting because Cressida is trying to get Eloise to help her, like, write a Lady Whistledown like edition, to show that she is her, because the queen basically tells her like that's how you'll prove it. It's like putting something out and it being good enough. We need to talk about Lady Danbury and her brother, and they beef because girl. So yeah, she's mad at her brother. We don't know why. Then we finally find out when she sees that he's about to go holla at Violet, and she's like, bro, like leave her alone, like you're savage, yada yada. And he's like, what did I do to you? Like it's not my fault. He thought it was like that he was his dad's favorite. He's like, I have no control over that. She's like, that's not even what it is. And she basically said the day before she was gonna get married to Lord Danbury, she was gonna run away. She almost got away, and he snitched on her to the dad, and like they got her back. And so yeah, this scene us up. This was like, damn, that sucks. It is definitely of the times. But then later on, we get a scene where he's essentially kind of apologizing to her, explaining his side of it. Y'all, this man was 10. Like she doesn't say his age when she says it in this first scene. And so in the other one, when he's like, I was 10, like I didn't know that that's what I was doing. And I'm like, girl, he was 10. Come on. I'm over here thinking he's like a teenager who was like, look at her getting away. Like, he was 10. He just thought you were unsafe. He was saying he thought she was unsafe because it was nighttime, all of that. Like, all the things that he knows. It's only what he's been taught because he's 10. It's hilarious. But they do make up. So, love that. But it's crazy that she held that grudge for that long. The boy was only 10. We have Benedict's storyline. I'm going to, like, say it all here. And it happens between this episode down to the last. But basically, he's got his little fling thing with the widowed woman. They're, rendezvousing, having sex, doing the thing. They're not serious, she was like, yeah, no, I don't want it this serious, whatever, chilling. She introduces him to some guy that she sleeps with, and if I'm not mistaken, she does make it clear that she sleeps with both of them. But yeah, basically then the guy like flirts with him, calls him charming, and then he catches her and the guy kissing, and so then they invite him to the bedroom, and he is like, oh, I forgot I got to do something, and runs off. When he comes back to see her, she tells him, he does like having sex with men too, and kind of is like, we would love for you to join, yada yada yada. And so he ends up deciding to join. And so then we get lots and lots of threesome scenes with them. And then one day he comes over and it's just her, and he's like, oh, is he not coming? And she's like, no, he's with someone else tonight. And he's like, okay, do you want to have somebody else? She's like, I think I just want it to be us two. And then she's basically like, now that I've seen how open you are and like how much like me you are, like I want to take it seriously. And he's basically like, yeah, I'm not ready for serious. And then it's over. But yeah, that was a huge storyline condensed very shortly. But that's Benedict. So he's a little lost puppy again, and I am so excited for his story. Cressida releases a like placeholder Whistledown thing, just kind of saying like it's not coming out yet, but it will be. Like, look out for it. And then she insinuates that there's like Bridgerton stuff in there, I guess. So Eloise is panicking, and Penn is like, okay, I'm gonna come out with one more issue to like clear the air. Like, I'm shutting her down. And Colin catches her delivering this last issue. And of course, he's heartbroken. Can't believe it. All of that. So now we've got two Lady Whistledown articles that come out at the same time. It's Cressida's, and Cressida's is kind of making up all these lies about the Bridgertons. Like, I don't think any of it was true. But then Penn's comes out basically saying like, yeah, no, that's not the real Bridgerton. I mean, Whistledown, I am. And then she lets out a bunch of little like, nothing serious gossips, just to be like, yeah, I be watching. Cressida do not, but I do. Obviously, this resigns Cressida to her fate of going with her aunt. Eloise and Penn are on the men now. Penn is like, you're one of my bestest friends. Eloise isn't quite ready for that. We get an interaction of Eloise and Colin basically kind of being like, everything she did, like, how can you forgive her? And she's like, I mean, for the most part, they were true things that she was like writing about. So like, we can't really be that mad at her. And he's basically like, and you'll forgive her? And she says she wants to. And he's like, man, like, I don't know if I have that in me like you do or whatever. We then get a scene of them, I guess at a venue, I'm assuming, or like in one of their rooms in the Bridgerton home, talking about what it'll look like for what it's for. And they're basically talking, he's still upset. So he's essentially like, I'm still a gentleman. Like, we have sex already, so I'm gonna marry you, but I don't know what this marriage gonna look like. He's like, but after the wedding, we'll talk about it. Lady Danbury's brother comes to visit Violet to basically like ask her to court her, essentially. And he's like, after her duties with Francesca and all, and Colin's wedding and all of that. So he says like, after your affairs are in order, and she's essentially like, I don't know that I want to do that. I won't know that until quote unquote after my affairs are in order. She's like, especially when like that person's affairs aren't in order either or something like that. So essentially telling to him, like, you need to figure out yourself with your sister. Colin finds Penn again, getting an issue out, and he's like, man, like, you being out here in these dangerous streets on your own, like, what's good with you? Why do you still feel the need to do this? You know, because she's like, oh, like, you've given me the confidence that I didn't have to say. A lot of what I said in Whistledown should have been said in, like, to those people. But now I have the confidence to do that. And he's like, so why do you need it? And she's like, well, it still, like, serves a purpose. And they end up, like, making out. And then they hear a carriage passing, so they stop. He puts her in her carriage to go home, and he, like, goes a separate way. We get the wedding. Colin, he gets up there. Everyone's there, you know, typical wedding. She comes out. She kind of hesitates a step looking at him because she's obviously, like, she doesn't know, like, where he's at, like, if this marriage is going to be a marriage. And he kind of gives her a nod, like, we're okay, kind of. And she goes to him, and they get married. You do get Anthony and Kate talking about, she lived in India before, right? I can't remember. I don't know. I know she wants to go back to where she's from or was living. And he's kind of like, well, let's do it, you know? Because she's like, oh, will your mom understand? And he's like, you know, I'm sure she will. She's got plenty of kids to keep her busy. You don't say that, but like for real. And then I guess it's like next day wedding breakfast or something. And the queen shows up, tells everyone else to get out. And is like, one of you Bridgertons is Lady Whistledown. Because in the 2 articles, she realizes that, like, Cressida said she was going to talk about the Bridgertons and did. And Lady Whistledown came out to protect the Bridgertons. So she's like, it has to be a Bridgerton. Because she went into retirement and then came out as soon as they were being slandered. This episode ends with Cressida going to, like, a print shop or whatever to be like, oh, like, I want my money for my audition or whatever. And he's like, yeah, it wasn't here. And she's like, well, dang it, where was it? Like, what the heck? I guess her mom must have done it for her, and so she's trying to figure out where it is to take the money and run, to not go to her aunt's. And basically the boy says something like, the old person he worked for, like, printed it for her, but she was a redhead, and so she puts 2 and 2 together as Penn. Episode 8, the last episode of the season. Basically Cressida goes to Penn, confronts her, lets her know she knows, and tells her she wants 10,000 pounds. So double the queen's reward to not tell the queen. And Penn's like, no one's gonna believe you. And Penn's mom walks in, and she basically gets the mom to believe her, or like tells the mom that she is Whistledown, and leaves. Penn and the mom go to Colin. Them and Eloise are all talking, and basically Colin's like, you're not paying her, I'm gonna handle it. He goes over to Cressida to try to, like, appeal to her humanity, which, like, it's Cressida. That was kind of silly. So he tries to appeal to her by, like, him and his loneliness and how he felt disconnected from his family and all of this and that, but like, family is forever, and family always, like, loves you and understands, and like, your dad will let you back later. And she's just basically like, that's where you fucked up. You have a good family, I don't, okay? Like, that's where you're wrong. We are not the same. You take your family for granted. I wish I had a good family. And so she basically doubles that. So now she wants 20,000 pounds and Whistledown to write a, like, not retraction, but like write an article painting her in a good light, like to help her out. Also in this episode, Penelope finds out that her mother actually stole money from the ton. So the money that the guy was selling the jewelry with, he didn't leave with it. She had it. And so yeah, Penelope goes off on her mom. Her mom's like, I did what I had to do, baby. I did what I had to do. We also have Lady Danbury trying to, like, not steer the queen away, but like lower the aggression, I guess you could say. Like, she's like, you might want to consider, like, maybe the person isn't a Bridgerton and is just someone who, like, wants to be in society in that way, and so this is their way of being in it. We get Kilmartin and Francesca's wedding. Very small. It's literally just her family and, like, Lady Danbury. Like really close people to her. She plays the piano with her mom, which is really cute. So yeah, all together, very adorable little wedding. Very Francesca. Francesca wanted that small wedding, and then she had also told her mom that she's moving to Scotland right away with her hubby. We get this beautiful conversation between Lady Danbury and Violet. Basically, they're kind of giving each other, like, permission, forgiveness, like, peace of mind. Where Violet is, you know, Lady Danbury is like, I kind of owe you, like, a whole situation with your dad, and she's like, we are fine. Like, we're good. I'm glad you were happy and he was happy for that time. And then she's like, yeah, I'm like, you're great, my brother's great, so I'm happy for both of you. And I think it's so cute because she's like, but if he messes up, like, I'm choosing you. Like, it's very, very cute. Very cute. It's So now we have Violet and whatever Lady Danbury's brother's name is. We get a scene of Eloise and Benedict on the swings, which is really cute callback to their last conversation on the swings. They kind of meet there to talk about how they're like lost in life and don't know what to do or whatever. And so she's talking about how she wants to be like a woman who changes the world again, right? Because like we mentioned in the last part, she had kind of conformed to try to like make life easier for herself. Colin and Penelope end up like kind of making up. And she's basically come up with a plan to reveal herself. She sends these letters to all these people to meet up. She gets the queen to come and she reveals herself, and the queen is kind of like, all right, she's humbled, like we're good. And then really cute moment. So the queen says that, leaves. It's super quiet in the crowd, right? Because everyone from the town got together. And then her sisters, Penelope's sisters, like, now. So they're like, handmaid? What the heck do they call the lady? They're the maid lady that they have. And she releases these butterflies, and so everyone's laughing, and like, you know, the moment is like gone. The whole awkward like uh-oh moment is gone. And I thought it was so stinking cute that it was her sisters, right? Because if you watch the whole time, her sisters are like struggling with her mom telling them to be nice. We get a moment with Pen and her mom where her mom calls her a wonder. And yeah, it turns out I guess the mom was genuine as far as I can see. And then basically Penelope is like, with this, you can tell the guy, because I think I mentioned in the first part, but I forgot to mention here, we had that guy who was like, oh, it's a document forged or whatever. And basically the guy has found out that the money came from like that fake jewelry and like the stuff that the guy was doing. And Pen's basically like, well, now you can tell him it came from this. She's like, and let's do better. Like, she's actually saying, don't do things like that again. Eloise begs Francesca to go with her and Mr. Kilmartin to Scotland, and she agrees. So she's going. And then we get this weird thing where Kilmartin is like, oh, great, my cousin's coming with us too. Here she is. And it was this really awkward, tense moment. And I'm so confused because I'm like, okay, like your cousin? What? And why was it so tense? What if they're making the cousin a girl? And she like falls in love with the girl cousin. I don't know. I guess we'll see. We end the season with an epilogue of the Featherington sisters and their babies, all of similar age. Penelope's sisters each had a girl, and Penelope had a little boy, the heir to the Featherington. That's pretty much it. Like I said, I'll be honest, it was really slow paced for me these last 4 episodes. I almost felt like they could have been squeezed into like 2 episodes, and then again there was so much bouncing back and forth between 1,000 different storylines. Like, it was just a little bit much if you ask me. I think we needed to kind of trim the fat, but I get that because they're trying to modernize this, there's a lot of things that have to be moved around. Anywho, hope you enjoyed. Like the video if you did, comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this season. Subscribe for more content like this, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.